Yo, what's going on, my dudes? It's your boy Beardson Beardly here, and we're talking about the Switch 2 because the Nintendo Direct just finished. I haven't really even had time to sit down and think about it. I was like, well, I just, I'm just gonna talk about it. I'm just gonna sit down and talk about it and give my thoughts on this big, new, huge extravaganza, because honestly, it looks pretty good. I was very skeptical, to be honest with you. I haven't touched my Switch since, like, I don't know, Tears of the Kingdom came out, and I didn't even finish that game, to be honest with you. I know that sounds really bad, but I didn't even finish it. I was bored. So I've kind of been off the Switch train for a hot minute. And going into this, I was like, well, they're going to have to do something. They're going to win me back. You know, I just feel like the past, like, couple years, ever since Tears of the Kingdom, they've been kind of in autopilot mode. It's like, okay, here's a port, here's a remake, here's a port. You know, and not to say that it's been, like, bad for Nintendo the past, like, 2 years or so, but it just hasn't really been exciting. It's been kind of boring. You know, it sort of felt like we've been in autopilot, you know. And granted, there's been things on the horizon, like obviously Metroid Prime 4. I am so hyped for that game. I love the Metroid Prime series, and I mean, they announced, it's like, am I crazy, or did they announce Metroid Prime 4, like, right when they announced the Switch, almost? It was, like, what, a year after, maybe? And now it's coming out for the Switch, too. I mean, you know, it is coming out for the Switch, so that's good. We'll talk about that in a minute, but, yeah, I don't know. I really haven't been super on board with the Switch train the past couple years. And don't get me wrong, I bought a Switch launch, like, that day, waited in line for hours because I didn't pre-order one because I was a dumb idiot. And I bought one, and I've loved my Switch. I think, honestly, the Switch, from a utility standpoint, is like the best console, right? Just the ability to be able to pick it up, play it on your couch, or play it on your big TV. Is awesome. It's like the coolest design ever. The freedom to be able to play the games how you want. I love it. I love the design of the Switch. And the Switch 2 is not really, you know, changing anything up in that regard too much. It's still a tablet. It's still got the Joy-Cons, and you can detach them, and you can hook it up to your TV. But, you know, I don't think they really need to change anything. I mean, it's a winning design. Why would they? They would be dumb not to just capitalize on the huge success that the Switch has been. So it's not very exciting, you know, it's not very groundbreaking necessarily, but it's not necessarily a bad thing either. If it isn't broke, don't fix it, right? And clearly with the Switch 2, they've recognized that they have a huge success on their hands, and they're just sort of ironing out some of the kinks with the Switch 2 and evolving it in certain ways. Not to say that there isn't some new features that are going into this console, but it's definitely not this, like, groundbreaking, ground-shattering sort of thing. It is a Switch 2, and it is exactly what you would expect in every regard. Now, the new Joy-Cons look nice. I like the new analog sticks. They look much better, because I hate the analog sticks on the Switch controllers, man. I hate them. I hate the Joy-Con sticks. I think they suck. So I'm glad that we're getting new Joy-Con sticks, and they do look way more comfortable. The mouse mode, I'll be honest, I think it's cool. I'm never gonna use it, though. Like, I am never going to use this mode for anything. They were showing off using the pointer controls, the mouse controls for Metroid Prime 4, and I'm like, oh, that's cool. And I'm never, it just seems uncomfortable. I'm like, let's be honest. Like, it seems like something that's like, you know, there'll probably be some, like, first party, you know, party games that come out, you know, like Mario Party's gonna use it and whatever. But, like, let's be honest, in 2 years, there's not gonna be any support for the mouse controls outside of, like, a couple of use cases, you know? Like, I'm glad that the entire console's gimmick isn't hinged on it, you know? I'm not mad that it's there. You know, for certain games, it could be cool. Like, Civ 7 on the Switch with the mouse controls. Like, okay, yeah, that makes sense. But I'm not ever playing a first-person shooter game with the mouse control. I'm never playing. I'll try out Metroid Prime 4 with the mouse controls, and then I'll probably immediately switch back to just using a regular controller. It's fine, dude. Okay, like and it's just never. I don't know. I'm curious to see what they're gonna do with it outside of like, I don't know, the handicap basketball game that they had, which is kind of weird, but. It's like Rocket League, but for disabled people, I guess. But the mouse pointer stuff, it's cool, whatever. I'm never gonna use it though. And the new stand, I like the new stand. That's gonna be nice. I never really use it in like tabletop mode ever anyways, but dude, my hinge on my Switch broke. Maybe it's just because like my hinge was like broken almost immediately after buying the Switch. Like it's still on there, but it's just like super flimsy, you know? I don't know if I just got like a defective model or what, so I just never used the tabletop mode ever, and I don't really ever plan on it, but I like the new little stand. That looks way more sturdy than that little flimsy Switch one, so that's cool. Yeah, I don't know, the console itself graphically looks pretty good. I mean, you know, maybe it's like what, it's not PS5 levels of graphics or anything, but it doesn't really need to be. It just needs to be basically like a PS4 or a PS4 Pro, which I think that's about where it's at. And it's going to be interesting because Nintendo's always kind of like lagged behind in the graphics department. Even when like the Switch came out, it was already sort of outdated graphically. And I think that now, I just can't imagine like the PlayStation 6 or something lapping this system so hard that, you know, third-party developers wouldn't be able to make games for this console. You know what I mean? It just doesn't. It seems like the diminishing returns on graphical upgrades in games has gotten to the point now where I think this console graphically will be very viable for the next 5 to 10 years, you know? And granted, you know, who knows like what's going to happen in the next 5 or 10 years, but it just seems to me that like I'm kind of happy that Nintendo's finally got something to where, like, you know, like Resident Evil 8 doesn't have to be a cloud version where you have to stream the game to the console. And yeah, it looks good graphically, and the fact that they're supporting 120 frames per second is huge in my opinion, especially with I think they said the screen on the tablet mode supports that, which is insane and awesome, and I'm excited. They are going back to an LCD screen over the OLED, which like the Switch had an OLED model, and so I was kind of curious about that. Like, it's not to say that LCD screens look terrible or anything, but I mean obviously like an OLED screen is gonna look fantastic. So I don't know. I mean they'll probably do a midlife, you know, variation with the OLED screen down the road. So maybe that's just like the plan. Let's throw in an LCD now that looks pretty good and supports HDR, and then in 4 years we'll introduce an OLED model just like we did with the Switch, right? But yeah, I was kind of a little taken aback by that. I was like, oh, LCD, all right, well, fair. But and then the price point was it $449 for the regular model, then $500 with the one that comes bundled with Mario Kart. It's a little steep, but I'm gonna buy it. I mean, yeah, I'm gonna buy one. The nice thing about taking the past like 2 or 3 years off from Switch stuff is like there is a lot of stuff for me to play, and now I can play it on the Switch and probably play it in a better version. So that'll be kind of cool. I don't think that this is gonna be like. I think it's gonna have a good launch, but like at that price point though, I don't think it's gonna be selling gangbusters either. And I don't think that this is gonna be a console that's as successful as the original Nintendo Switch, because I mean, for one, it's just not like that groundbreaking, and the price point's pretty steep. The price point for the Switch was like, well, that was like $300. That was like a really good price point for people, I think, to buy a new game console. And so I don't know, $449 or $500. I don't really see a lot of casual people just hopping in on that, especially when they have a perfectly good Switch that works right now and they can play all their games with that. And Nintendo's still releasing a bunch of games for the Switch, like Metroid Prime 4. You know, I don't know. We'll see. I could be wrong. I think it's going to do well. I don't think it's going to be as big of a hit as the Switch is, though, especially with that price point. I don't see a lot of people defecting or you know, getting rid of their original Switch to upgrade to this. Although, the launch lineup, or like the first year lineup of games, is pretty good. I was shocked. I mean, obviously, the Switch launched with Breath of the Wild, which, again, was also backwards compatible with the Wii U. But obviously, I mean, Breath of the Wild is a Switch game. You just look at that game. That is a Switch game, and that was huge. That was massive. And they're launching with a new Mario Kart, and it looks interesting. I don't know. I'm hyped for it, but the game looks interesting. Now, granted, like Mario Kart 8 is like the highest selling Switch game of all time. Maybe one of the highest selling Nintendo games of all time ever. Like when it sold like 50 million copies or something like that, which is huge. And launching with the new Mario Kart is obviously a very smart move. I'm not trying to say that at all. And the game looks good. It's just like a very unconventional Mario Kart game. I don't know. There's something about this game I don't like. Like, I want to play it. I'm hyped to play it. But I think what it is, it's the level design. I like the idea in theory of it being sort of open world and you can sort of like drive around and do different things. But my problem with it is that Mario Kart tracks were fun because they're like very like self-contained and goofy and weird, and like there's like all sorts of crazy stuff happening, and these look way more like normal and grounded and realistic. And I don't know, like they could still be cool. I mean, there's definitely things I like about it. I like the idea that you can drive from track to track and you can sort of go on this like Grand Prix mode where you tour all of the tracks, and it's sort of like a battle royale where if you're in 8th place or 9th place and you got to get in 8th place and you get eliminated and you got to make it to the final track. That's like a cool idea, and it's definitely a different way to play Mario Kart, which is kind of cool. But I don't know. I'm gonna miss like more of these like over the top, goofy, sort of, you know, very bombastic tracks as opposed to this more like grounded and realistic look to the tracks that I feel like they're not going to be able to do as much with. But I mean, I could be wrong. Maybe we just haven't seen enough of the game, and they're going to be doing another direct later this month talking about the game some more. But either way, having this as a pack-in title with a bundle on launch is going to be just massive, you know, especially with like the game chat functions and stuff that they showed off with the Switch 2. And you know, the camera, I don't care. Bro, if you buy that camera, you're a loser. I'm sorry. Like, you're weird. It's cool though. I mean, it's cool. It's one of those things like, oh, that's cool. I'm never gonna use that ever. Like whenever I'm playing Mario Kart, I look like a gremlin, you know? I've got like I'm in my boxers, you know, with a stained white t-shirt eating Cheetos. You know, like probably, you know, between tracks, I'm scratching my nuts. I don't want to be on camera for that. Nobody wants to see that, you know. But I'm curious about this. Like, it's got like the system is like built-in Discord, which is kind of cool. I wish they'd bring back Miiverse from the Wii U. Miiverse is awesome, and like it's Twitter for Nintendo consoles. I think if you were to bring back that in addition to this like built-in game chat, you could have something really cool. But the game chat itself seems really nice. It's kind of weird that the microphone is built into the console and not the controllers. But if their like voice isolating technology works the way that they are advertising it, where you can have a guy with like a blender in the background and it's not going to pick up on the microphone. Yeah, I'm gonna be really curious about that, and you can like stream your games to your friends, which again, I don't think anyone's really ever gonna use that ever. But the voice chat thing is cool. I like the fact that too you can have like little voice rooms and just like parties and stuff, and you know, I mean, I can't believe that I'm like sitting here talking about like Nintendo having basic online voice chat features as like a big announcement. But if you know anything about Nintendo and their online service, this is a kind of a big deal, okay? Like the fact that Nintendo is finally doing just basic internet functions on their consoles, you know, you gotta give them credit where credit is due here. They finally caught up. So yeah, that's cool. Mario Kart World looks interesting, and I'm definitely hyped to play it. And I think it's very smart that it's a launch title, because again, Mario Kart 8 Deluxe was the biggest, highest selling Nintendo Switch game ever. And if there's anything that's going to get people to buy a new Switch, I think it would be a Mario Kart. The only other thing that I could say would be like a new Animal Crossing game would have been huge. But I'm sure they're probably working on that already. They just don't have anything to show yet. But yeah, Mario Kart is a launch title. That's huge. I like the idea. I mean, of course, the console's backwards compatible with a lot of the old Switch games, which is cool. And for somebody like me who took the past like couple years off on the Switch and didn't even finish Tears of the Kingdom, like I'm very excited to now just play Tears of the Kingdom on the Switch 2, and I'll probably just upgrade my copy to the Switch 2 edition. Although that sucks. Can we talk about that? Why I own the game. Just give me the Switch 2 version. Like, what about, you're gonna charge me like $20 or something to upgrade my copy of the game to just have like better frame rate that it already should have had on release? I don't know. That kind of sucks. I get it to a certain extent, because certain games are gonna have also like new content with the Switch 2 versions, which is kind of cool. Like, like Mario Party's getting a big expansion, and like that Kirby game that I never played is getting a big expansion. So like that's cool. Like that they're at least you're gonna get the Switch 2 version and new content. Like, okay, I can see how you could justify $10 or $20 for that or whatever. But yeah, I don't know. I'm not paying an extra $10 just so Breath of the Wild could look how it should have looked on launch to begin with. You know, I've always hated that. Sony did that too. It's not like this is an unprecedented rule from Nintendo. Like, all of these game consoles are, pay $10 to get 60 frames per second. I'm like, I'm not doing that. Screw you. Just give it to me for free because I bought the game, you know? So that kind of sucks, but maybe for Tears of the Kingdom, I'll upgrade it and actually play that game. So, you know, I don't know. That's cool. And again, Metroid Prime 4, like, I'm buying the Switch 2 version of that because, yeah, that's going to be an awesome game. And being able to play that game at 120 frames per second seems really cool. So it's nice that, obviously, I mean, it makes sense that the console would be backwards compatible. I don't know why it wouldn't be, but some of the rules are a little weird. I don't know. But either way, that's going to be nice, and it's really going to make having a Switch sort of useless now at this point. The other big thing, you know, besides a lot of these games, is GameCube backwards compatibility support via Nintendo Switch Online, and the launch lineup for that is pretty good. Wind Waker and Soul Calibur 2, and I did, I soy boyed out. I soy boyed out. I was laying in my bed, I had just woke up, and I was drinking my coffee, and I made a visible soy face, and my dog called me a soy boy because they announced F-Zero GX, which is one of my just favorite games of all time. And it's a game that I think just deserves an actual sequel or a remaster of some kind. But the fact that we're getting it on the Nintendo Switch, just ported with online multiplayer, I'm in. You finally convinced me, Nintendo, to buy your crappy expansion pass. I'll do it just to play that because I love F-Zero GX, and the fact that it has online play is huge. That's massive. I'm in. Like that alone is almost worth the price of admission for me to buy a Switch 2, to be honest with you. So, and they announced that other titles are going to be coming soon, like Super Mario Sunshine, Fire Emblem Radiance is coming, Luigi's Mansion. So yeah, it looks like a pretty good lineup for the GameCube stuff, and I know a lot of people are going to be really excited about that. I'm really excited about it, and I have a Wii and all the GameCube games that I could ever want to play, and I can play them on my CRT, but being able to play them in just handheld mode, you know, on the go, wherever I want, that's just awesome, to be honest with you. That's just an awesome thing. And yeah, it's not going to be like CRT, but again, if there's any sort of like visual upgrades at all, even if these games just run faster, especially if they can make these games run at 120 frames per second, That would be massive. I doubt that they're going to put in that much work. But, you know, hey, who knows? It's dude, F-Zero GX at 120 frames per second, like, oh my goodness, please take my money. I'll do that in an instant, you know. But, you know, we'll see what happens. Either way, I'm hyped about it. I think that that's really cool. And I'm glad that all the existing Nintendo Switch Online, you know, backwards compatible stuff is going to work. So, yeah, there's going to be tons of games to play for this thing on launch. It's not going to be like this, dude, when the Switch came out, we were hungry, okay? Well, obviously, we had Breath of the Wild, and that was huge. But, like, dude, I was, like, just looking for things to do for this, you know? It was bad. I'm like, dude, I'm buying, like, just crappy eShop games, you know, just to tide me over until, like, I don't know, ARMS came out, and that game was just okay. Just mediocre. But you know what? We bought it and we ate it up, okay? But, you know, there's not going to be that problem with the Switch 2, which is going to be nice because you're going to have tons of old games to go and rediscover and check out. And you're going to have games like Fortnite to play. Obviously, that's coming to the Switch day one. Mario Kart. A bunch of stuff, man. A bunch of stuff is launching on the Switch day one. And a lot of third-party support, too, from Nintendo, which is really I mean, like, I know this is like a crazy thing. I'm not excited about it by any means, but it's like, it's very weird to see that, like, there's going to be Madden games back on Nintendo consoles, because that hasn't been a thing for, like, a very long time, like, sports games like that. I think they've had, like, NBA 2K on the Switch, but, like, EA sports games like Madden coming to the Switch is, like, actually kind of a big deal, you know? The amount of third-party support for the Switch 2 looks to be pretty big, and that's, you know, obviously a good thing. Not only that, we're getting an exclusive From Software game for the Switch. Dude, I'm not gonna lie, for like a solid 2 minutes, I was like, how is Nintendo securing Bloodborne 2 from Sony? But it's not Bloodborne 2, but I mean, it might as well be. It looks exactly like Bloodborne in nearly every way, and it's being directed by Miyazaki, which is awesome. So I mean, that alone for me is like, okay, yeah, that's a day one buy. That's huge. That's a huge third-party exclusive for the Switch, and that's really awesome. The games look really dope. That Donkey Kong game, was it Bonanza or something? That looked awesome. I'm not even like a big Donkey Kong guy, you know. I've never been like huge into Donkey Kong. I like the Donkey Kong Tropical Freeze and you know, Donkey Kong Country Returns or whatever, but like I'm not a big Donkey Kong guy. But man, that game looked incredible. Like fully destructible environments, just great platforming, cool epic boss fights, and that comes out this year. I'm buying it, man. That looked awesome. That's the kind of stuff that I want to see from Nintendo, you know. And I think that was kind of what was refreshing about this this Direct too, is like just new stuff coming to the Switch 2. You know, it's like, obviously it's not like a new franchise or a new IP necessarily, but it is like a new series. It's a new, like, you know, other than like Donkey Kong 64, we've never really gotten a 3D Donkey Kong game like this, and this looks totally different from anything else that Nintendo's really put out too, you know? It looked really cool, and again, for somebody who's not really a big Donkey Kong guy, like, I'm actually excited to play that, because like anything with like destructible environments, like, please take my money. And I hope you guys can't hear this. My neighbor, I guess, just decided to mow his lawn, even though it's like it's about to be a thunderstorm in like 30 seconds, so he's gonna get really wet probably. But whatever, it's his prerogative. So I hope you can't hear that. Hopefully I can cancel that out. But what else? What else did they announce? I mean, obviously all of the new Switch games are going to be having Nintendo Switch 2 versions, and that's cool. So that you're going to have a ton of stuff to play this year alone, just based on the stuff that they were already working on, like Pokemon Legends and Metroid Prime 4. And so, you know, that's cool. And oh man, I feel like I'm forgetting like another big Nintendo game that they announced, because it just happened. I don't know. Metroid Prime 4, Pokemon, Mario Kart, Donkey Kong. I mean, that alone for year one of a Nintendo Switch console, I think, is pretty big, though. You know what I mean? And then, they got the new Mario Party content, if you're a Mario Partier. I'm not, because I don't have any friends to play Mario Party with, but the new Kirby DLC for the game that's already out, but it's going to be a better version of it. That's really cool. I mean, I think it was a pretty successful Nintendo Direct overall. I mean, I think that was, pretty good. And also, too, I guess they just announced, I'm looking now, free updates for select Nintendo Switch games to work on the game already. So there's going to be updates to like Super Mario Odyssey and 3D World and Legend of Zelda Link's Awakening and Echoes of Wisdom and Pokemon Scarlet and Violet are going to get performance upgrades on the Switch 2, which that really needs it, because I can't even play that game because of how just awful that game looks, terrible. But yeah, overall, man, I think it was a pretty successful Direct. I am actually pretty excited now. Oh, Kirby Air Riders. Yeah, I mean, that's going to be cool too. I'm sure a lot of people are really excited. I never really was a big Kirby Air Ride guy, but that was the one that I was forgetting, was the Kirby Air Ride. But yeah, I mean, that's cool. A pretty big year overall for the Switch 2, and I think that you're going to have plenty to play whenever the Switch 2 comes out. I think the console looks cool. I think that this was a pretty big success. I mean, if I had to rate it overall, I'd say this is like an 8.5 or a 9 out of 10 Nintendo Direct. I think the console, I'm gonna buy one. The pre-orders launch next week. Was it April 9th? I'm gonna go pre-order one and buy one day one for sure, because again, there's a lot of Switch stuff that I've just missed out on, and if I could play it with a better console and better performance and stuff, that just makes sense to me. And overall, I mean, I'm just a fan of what they're doing. I want to play Metroid Prime 4. I want to play that new Mario Kart game. I'm very curious about it. It's going to be fun regardless, but I don't know. I don't know if it's going to be any, Mario Kart 8 Deluxe or anything. I don't know how you beat that. I mean, that game is that's just the best Mario Kart. That's the best kart racer of all time. I mean, it has how many tracks? Like 1 million? It has all the tracks. I mean, it already had a ton of tracks when they brought it over from the Wii U anyways. And then they're like, all right, here's 48 more tracks with the booster course thing. I mean, so how do you top that, really? But, you still have that. You can still play that on that Switch, and then you can go play the new Mario Kart World or whatever it's called. And that looks like just a different experience. I think my concern with that is like they're adding like a free roam mode, and it's like, oh, you can, the big hitch of it is like you can go off road and do whatever, and that's cool. But it's like, is there going to be anything to do out there? Is there going to, like, to me, this game, it feels like it needs maybe like it quests, like make it like sort of like a Breath of the Wild thing, where it's like there's like quests out to do in the wild, like time trials and things to discover, because it's like if you're just like I don't know, driving around and just looking at stuff, like it's gonna be boring after 10 minutes. You know what I mean? Like, so if there's not anything to do, then that's really boring. So I don't know. I'm excited though. I'm excited to play it. I think it looks cool. I think it looks really neat. And yeah, overall 8.5, maybe a low 9 out of 10 for the Switch too. I think it's not that exciting. There's not a whole lot of really big, crazy changes, it's, or different ways to play, but I think it's what Nintendo needs to do. They need to play it safe. They've had obviously a huge hit on their hands with the Switch, and I think that the Switch 2 looks to just build upon and improve upon that, and I don't think that the Switch 2, again, is going to be as successful as the Switch, because again, like, $500 price point or $449 price point if you don't get Mario Kart, but like, why would you not get Mario Kart? Just not anything super revolutionary about it. People. Also, I feel like casual gamers, they're like, these are the kinds of people that they just buy a console like every 10 years or so, 10 or 15 years. They're like, I'm gonna get a video game console, and everyone's talking about this Nintendo Switch, so I'm gonna get one. I feel like that's how it was with the Nintendo Switch. And and obviously they had like a good Animal Crossing game that came out during COVID, so that was huge. Like, the Switches were selling out everywhere during that time. I mean, they'd been out for a few years at that point already. So I just feel like that's gonna be, it's not gonna have that same level of like normie appeal that the Switch had, because they just kind of, you know, they've got their Switch now and they can play Animal Crossing and Mario Kart already. So like, why, you know, there's nothing really here that I feel like you need to upgrade, you know? Like, there's nothing on this console that's screaming to me like, oh, you gotta upgrade. But the Mario Kart, maybe, but even then, like, it doesn't seem like, I don't know, that must have title that's really gonna, but I don't know, maybe I could be wrong. Either way, I'm excited, and I think I'm gonna buy one. So let me know your thoughts. What do you guys think about it? What are you guys excited for? You know, am I crazy for getting one of these things? I hope so. Yeah, they're expensive, but I'm gonna try to do it, and yeah, we'll see what happens. But all right, anyways, love you guys. God bless. I got some more videos working on too. Sorry for the lack of input. I've had like nothing but like just the worst things happening to me in real life for video, not like personally, but just like for like video game content purposes. I ordered a copy of Rogue Galaxy because I wanted to cover that, and my copy doesn't work and I have to return it. So I got to ship that out today to return it and try to find another copy of it. And then yeah, just like nothing's been working. And I'm working on a Wii. I'm actually, timely enough, I'm working on a Wii U video that hopefully will drop like maybe Friday. But I'm waiting on a couple of accessories that I ordered because I really want to do like a big sort of deep dive on it. But I got a Wii U and I've been messing around with that, and I have a lot of thoughts about that. So I'm gonna do a little review on that. I've been shooting a lot of footage for that, so that's coming soon. So in the meantime, Switch 2 video. And all right, love you guys. God bless. Christ is King. Bye-bye.